'twas the time of the preacher.
I used to be such a nice guy.
Well, for a man that don't go healed, you run your mouth kind of reckless, don't you?
It's a little too early for being that loud. Hey, too late.
What an incredible Cinderella story. This unknown comes out of nowhere.
I guess I'm the only one that remains unaffiliated.
Welcome to the 4-1 podcast, where for 4 minutes, we tackle one topic. Right now, I want to talk to you about taking ground versus taking a stand. You know, our world is constantly trying to tell us you have to stand for something. If you stand for nothing, then you'll fall for anything. I think we forget that much of following after Jesus is really more of stumbling after Jesus. I think in our minds we've kind of convinced ourselves, you know what, we've got it right, we've got it nailed down, we've figured everything out. You know, we've got our doctrinal statements that have checked off every single little box. There's no mystery left in following Jesus. But the truth of the matter is there's tons of mystery in following Jesus. He's a God who is greater than us, and his ways are higher than ours. And one of the things that happens is we convince ourselves we're so right. We're so right that we're going to set up shop right here and we're going to take a stand. And I've seen it time and time again. We get so busy taking stances that we never take any ground. You see, Jesus isn't standing still. Jesus is moving. His kingdom is going forward. It's getting bigger every single day. And if you want to be a part of what he is doing, it requires steps of faith, taking ground. And when we're so busy taking stances, picking a side on this issue and that issue, we stop taking ground for him. You know, when I first moved to New Hampshire, people told me, they said, you know what, that's a pastor's graveyard. You know, that's where pastors go to die, and churches they can't grow there. You know, the soil's no good. And I can't tell you how wrong people were. It's an amazing place to be. The soil is good, and there is a harvest that God's been preparing for a long time. But it requires a different way of thinking, a new way of thinking, one that says, you know what, I'm not going to get fixated on taking a stance on every single issue. Rather, I'm going to be free. I'm going to let others be free to wrestle with things and think and question and doubt, so that there's this mystery and this wonder, where we can agree to disagree on things at times and still be brothers and sisters and grab hold of each other instead of dividing. You know, our world wants us to divide, but God is bringing his family together. And as we do that, if we would focus on taking ground as opposed to just taking a stance. One of the first people that wanted to meet with me when I moved here was one of our congressmen. He said, I would like to sit down with you and talk to you about some important issues. And okay, we got together, and yeah, he had some, I guess, important issues, but he just wanted to know where I stood on things. And I tried to express to him, you know, I stand for Jesus. I stand for people. All people. Everyone. Even people with different struggles than me. And as we talked that day, you know, he first wanted me to sign a petition about the latest hot button issue, the big political topic, wanted to know if he could have my support. And I said, no, I'm not signing your petition. He wanted to know if the candidate for governor could come and speak at the church. I said, no, candidate for governor can't come and speak at the church. He had a whole list of things that he wanted me to do. You see, he had an agenda. He wanted to use me and the church and I think ultimately Jesus for his agenda. That's not uncommon. I think that's the biggest mistake most of us make, is we keep trying to use Jesus for our agendas. Well, I've given that up. I just want to take ground. And so I've stopped taking so many stances and feeling like I'm always right. And I recognize I'm wrong a lot. But one thing I always want to do right is I want to take the next step of faith and take ground for God's kingdom and share his love. That's what praying for one has done for me. I hope you'll pray for one too.